The Lexus NX was very late to the compact crossover class, but boy has it made a splash. Only 3 years after the nameplate was first introduced, it has become the best-selling in the class, even beating the brand new Audi Q5 so far this year. Now for 2018, Lexus is looking to build on its momentum by refreshing the styling, features, and technology. Like always, this review will cover all gas-powered NXs, including the F-Sport. So let's go ahead and see why customers have been making the switch to NX.
We would like to specially thank Lexus of Lexington for inviting us out to film this review. If you would like to check out their stunning dealership and extensive inventory of all the Lexus models, their physical address and website can be found in the video description.
Every NX comes standard with Lexus's smart key entry system, which has a pretty nice key fob, if a little plain. Power folding mirrors are a new standard feature this year. Before we get to the interior and exterior changes, let's first take a peek under the hood. So even though the model designation has changed from 200T to 300, there are no changes under the hood. That means you'll continue to find a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 235 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It continues to be paired exclusively to a 6-speed automatic transmission and can be had in either front or all-wheel drive. There is also a hybrid variation, but we'll cover that in a separate NX300H review. As far as fuel economy is concerned, the NX is one of the most efficient in the class. It achieves 22 city, 28 highway, 25 combined with front-wheel drive, and 22 city, 28 highway, 24 combined with all-wheel drive. That's better than the Acura RDX and ties the Audi Q5. That sums up the powertrain info, so now let's check out the exterior changes. The front ends of the standard NX and S-Sport are so different that we'll look at an S-Sport specifically in a minute, but first we'll start out with the regular model. To my eyes, the new grille takes a fair amount of inspiration from the RX, both in its overall shape and in the texture. The top is made of flat or closed panels, while the bottom slats are open. Also, more importantly, it doesn't cut inward as dramatically as it did before, which helps it look less polarizing. Turning to the headlights, they are now fully LED on every model, with the dedicated arrowhead underneath. You can still option on fancier triple beam lights and fancier daytime running lights if you want, but you'll always get LED fogs. Now let's take a quick look at the F-Sport. The front end of the F-Sport has a totally different look to it. The inside is made up of black mesh, and the outside is now a dark chrome. Additionally, the grille extends down further towards the ground than the standard model, for a more planted appearance. Its headlights are the same, but this lower area has a black mesh cutout with the fog lamps underneath. Heading on to the wheels, there are several different designs. These are the standard 17-inch alloys, but S-Sport, Premium, and Luxury package models come with 18 inches. These look pretty small, so I think you'll want the upgrade. Lexus didn't supply the dimensions, but the brakes are ventilated in the front and solid disc in the rear. For the mirrors, regular models get this 3-color setup, but S-Sports are black on the top. They all are heated with the turn signal, though our cover package added auto-dimming and blind spot monitoring. The NX is 182.3 inches long, which is just about identical to the Audi Q5, BMW X3, and Acura RDX. The side does give you a good view of how the front end extends downward a lot more than last year's model. As far as safety goes, the 2018 model hasn't specifically been rated, but the 17's ratings should carry over. A big change in this department, though, is the newly standard Lexus Safety System Plus package. It includes automatic emergency braking, lane departure alert with steering assist, dynamic cruise control, and auto high beam headlights. This brings it in line with other Lexus models and also ahead of most rivals. The NX's fuel capacity is 15.9 gallons, which is good for 398 miles of range with front-wheel drive, and 382 miles with all-wheel drive. Lexus does require premium fuel. Moving around to the rear, you won't see nearly as many changes as in the front, so it does continue to look very aggressive. The taillights continue to be the most standout design cue. For 2018, they have been elongated, and all the elements are now LED. It does still retain the awesome three-dimensional design, though. Down here you have larger dual horizontal exhaust, inside a new diffuser. Of course, towing's not really recommended, but it can handle 2,000 pounds, if properly equipped. You have a standard spoiler, and these roof rails are also standard. Well, that covers everything on the outside, so now let's check out what Lexus has done to the interior. First looking around the NX, you don't see big changes that are immediately noticeable, but there are plenty of smaller changes around. You can still equip this cabin in a variety of different colors, with the regular NX300 coming standard with either this black, cream, or a new glazed caramel color. The F-Sports also have three choices: black, Rioja red, or a new more intense red called Circuit. The seating material for both is new Lux faux leather, but opting for the luxury package gets you real leather in cream or black, with special linear black shadow wood. Turning to the door trim, it has a pleasing mixture of materials, with leather trim on the armrest and stitched soft touch plastic on the upper portion. I think this trim is supposed to imitate carbon fiber, but I'm not sure. All four of the windows are auto up and down, and these are new window switches this year. Every NX comes with this 10-way power adjusting driver's seat, with 2-way lumbar. Like I already mentioned, this is the new Lux Leather Red, but it's surprisingly supple, so I highly doubt that most people will even notice the difference. At first blush, it doesn't seem very different in here, but there are a lot more changes than what meets the eye. Also, for the most part, materials carry over. All of the upper dash is soft-touch plastic with stitching, and all of the middle area is covered in leather trim with more stitching. Along the center you have silver trim, and alongside that there's more leather trim where your leg might touch. Overall, it's well put together and has a really cool design. Just press the button to start. The old model's 7-inch display has been replaced by this 8-inch one, or an even larger 10.2-inch one if you add navigation. The gauges are pretty much unchanged this year, including the 4.2-inch multifunction display. It contains everything you would expect, but of course it's nowhere near as exciting as something like Audi's virtual cockpit. Every NX has electric power steering, controlled by this very nice leather-wrapped steering wheel with contrast stitching. On the left side you have your audio, phone, and voice controls, and on the other is your display controls, safety system buttons, and dynamic cruise control. The wheel itself does manually adjust, or is powered with the luxury package. Off to the side of the wheel you have a host of buttons, including one for the heated steering wheel. On this model it was added as a standalone option, but the luxury package does also include it. Moving on to interior storage, the NX is pretty close to its rivals, if a little bit smaller. Inside the center console, you have a little removable tray on top. Underneath, you have a pretty deep area, which is luxuriously outlined, and you also have several connections. This piece still removes, and down here you could put something small, like sunglasses. It also continues to double as a handheld mirror as well. But there is no storage up here. Instead, you have a traditional shifter. I like the aluminum accents, and you can also shift manually. Additionally, for 2018, non-F-Sport models now get satin paddle shifters. When you shift into reverse, a standard backup camera will appear. It has distance markers and trajectory, though parking sensors do cost extra. There is also a new option for a 360-degree camera system. That noise you just heard was the sound of the electronic parking brake automatically deploying. To go along with that, you also have a brake hold feature, which allows you to take your foot off the brake at something like a red light. And above that, we have a dial for the drive modes. There are 3 modes for standard NXs, with the F-Sport getting an extra Sport Plus mode. Backing up here, we have a new trackpad this year, which Lexus says is 30% larger. Now let's sample the standard 8-speaker sound system. Sound quality is okay, but not very impressive. The navigation package will give you 2 more speakers, but Mark Levinson is not offered. Heading up to the climate, the controls have also been redesigned this year. It's still 2-zone automatic, but you now have these really nice metal toggles in place of the flat black buttons before. Overall, I think the design looks pretty nice, and the layout is simple with good ergonomics. Within this area, you have buttons for the 3-stage heated and ventilated seats. Both are optional, and come together in the comfort package and above. You do have a nice clock as well, with a slightly different design this year. Now let's go ahead and take a look around the new Lexus Inform system. The overall look of the system and its functionality haven't really changed all that much. But after messing around with it a bit, I can tell there's been a lot of changes to the underlying hardware and software. This is the home screen, and you can click on things to expand them. Things are a lot speedier than they were before, and you have neat animations like the wave that follows the pointer. Here are all the other available sources. Some will only work if you have the Inform app downloaded on your phone. Moving on to phone, it starts out with a list of contacts. There are several ways you can scroll through them. Next up are the apps. These are included free of charge, but once again, you do need to connect your phone and have the Inform app for them to function. What you are missing are Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but Lexus does give you Scout connected navigation to replace that function for them. If you choose integrated navigation instead, then the screen is 10.2 inches, and it has an extra side panel for greater functionality. That's all I'm going to talk about here, but if you want to see a more detailed tutorial, then check out our dedicated Tech Help video. A link to that is provided in the description. Every NX gets this auto-dimming rearview mirror, with the compass and HomeLink universal remotes. We don't actually have a moonroof, but of course one is available. It's just a regular sized one, since there's no panoramic one available. So overall, the cabin of the NX is a very pleasant improvement over the outgoing model. It was always stylish and luxurious, but the 2018 upgrades simply make things that much better. And I think in a nutshell, that's why the NX has been so successful. It has all the features people want, but it does it in its own unique way. Now I'll hand it off to Mason to finish things off.
Materials on the rear door trim do follow through from the front. You've got padded leather where your elbows rest, padded plastic above it, and even more soft plastic above that. The windows in the back are auto up-down. In the rear, you'll find 36.1 inches of legroom and 38.1 inches of headroom. That places it behind major competitors like the all-new Q5 and Acura RDX, but most won't find it problematic. The seats themselves are extremely comfortable. In the center, you'll find vents on all NXs, but no outlets or anything. The fold-down armrest is nice and big, and there are two cup holders. On the ceiling, you've got a bright LED light, a scratchy headliner, and an assist grille. Despite the smaller specs, legroom doesn't feel cramped at all behind Drew's seating position. There's even plenty of space for my feet to slide up under. Even with the seat all the way back, legroom is adequate. Overall, the rear of the NX is a quite nice place to spend time. It checks all the boxes when it comes to comfort and space, but I would like to see a few more features available. To fold the seat back, just pull on this lever. It does fold nice and flat. A power tailgate is optional on every NX, even the F-Sport. Once inside, you'll find 17.7 cubic feet behind the second row, and a maximum of 54.6 cubic feet. Once again, that does place it a few cubic feet less than the RDX and on the Q5. Lexus also nicely includes its cargo cover on all models, and underneath you've got some extra space and a spare tire. The passenger seat is 8-way power adjusting across all trims of the NX. Material quality in front of the passenger is quite nice, and the glove box is large, dampened, plus lined in a really premium felt. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching the first in-depth review on the refreshed 2018 Lexus NX300. Stay watching for a quick look at the pricing, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoyed. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the